Hello guys, welcome back for another mobility section. Today we're talking a lot about workplace posture and what happens as an effect of a sedentary job or even just our normal lifestyle that includes driving a car, sitting at a desk, working on a computer, looking at your cell phone. We get very forward loaded, we tend to hunch a little bit, we reach for things around in front of us, and that just causes a lot of tightening on the anterior of our body and a lot of elongating on the posterior. And so through a recovery program, we really want to work on stretching out the front, and then in your strength training program, we want to work on strengthening the back. So we talk a lot about the posterior muscles in all of our workout videos and training posterior shoulders, back, glutes, hamstrings. So this is kind of today's edition of mobility and stretching is really focused on the other side of the equation, which is elongating muscles that are perhaps holding a lot of tension and staying short. So we're going to start on our foam roller with Annie as our beautiful model here today. And what I want you guys to start by doing is just rocking up and down on the foam roller here, focusing on just relaxing, keeping your core slightly engaged and just feeling that pressure working through those muscles. This might feel really, really good for some of you, and that's phenomenal. It's not going to be the end-all be-all of foam rolling, but we're just trying to loosen everything up before we get into a little bit of thoracic movement here. And what I'm going to have you do is try to settle into a position where your foam roller is down below your scapula, kind of between your belly button and your ribs. And then what I want you to do is keeping your core tight. I want you to do small crunches, allowing your back to extend. And so you see we take that shape of the foam roller and then crunching up and taking the opposite. So like a convex and a concave shape, if you will. We're gonna do one more here, and then I'm gonna have you slide down. So we're gonna move our hips down so that foam roller now is closer up, probably in your scapula somewhere. And you'll notice that the range of motion is gonna be a little bit different. So you might not be able to move as much. Annie's got a pretty mobile thoracic in her extension and flexibility, which is great. As a volleyball player, she should. One more here. And we're gonna move that foam roller one more time. So slide those hips down just a little bit higher. Working the same thing. So you should feel that nice big stretch again when we are at work and we're like this all the time. So opening up that thoracic is our goal here. One more. Perfect. So we're gonna take our foam roller down to our low back now. So we're gonna have just a light rolling on our low back. So you're gonna take a little bit of like a 45-degree angle. So Annie's hips and shoulders are here. She's not perfectly perpendicular. You can see those are pointing back at the wall versus straight up at the ceiling. She's just working along like your QL muscle down there, getting a little bit of low lats. We're just gonna spend 30 seconds here or so, and we're gonna switch to the other side. Find somewhere tight. You can always rock, left to right or front to back in Annie's case on that muscle if she needs to. Anywhere tight, remember we wanna settle in there for a little bit of time. But our low back gets super tight from sitting all the time, that workplace posture. We're gonna switch sides here, Annie. That low back tightness, it can come from a variety of reasons. Our last video, we did a ton of work at our hips, hamstrings, hip flexors, quads, trying to open up the lower part of our body. So adding in a little bit of low back foam rolling as we open up the upper part is great. So if you guys were looking for a full hour of recovery, do this video and then go check out the other one and work that lower body, or maybe just alternate days with these. So again, 45-degree angle so that the weight isn't entirely on the side, sticking into your like ribs or right into your side, but more focused on the muscle of your back. Tight area, we'll spend a little bit of time there, about 5 more seconds, and we're gonna move on to our lats. All right. So now you are gonna take much more of a perpendicular posture. So we are gonna try to point those hips a little bit more upright, and you're gonna roll right along our lats, which is our biggest muscle in our back. We're gonna work up from our armpit all the way down our side, trying to find any spot of tension. You see Annie's face wince, it's because she found that spot of tension. But our muscles are huge, and they're actually internal rotators. The lat muscles are an internal rotator at our shoulder, so they do cause this motion. So loosening them up, can help us to open up our chest. It's a commonly overlooked area. We always think stretch the pecs, which you absolutely have to, but we should in conjunction also be stretching or trying to elongate our lat muscles as well. So a little bit longer here, and we're gonna switch sides. This is probably one of the foam rolling upper body exercises that people find most uncomfortable and a little difficult to do because, as you notice, Andy's got her hips up off the ground the whole time, so it's a little bit strenuous. We're gonna switch sides, have Andy bring it over to her right side here, which being right side dominant, right? It might be a little bit tighter because she uses it more often, but the same thing, and you can find what's comfortable, if it works better for you to extend your arms fully or relax that top arm or not hold hands. It's entirely up to you. Really want to find your sweet spot with it. So again, we're going to spend probably another 15 to 20 seconds here, and then we're going to switch for one last stretch, and we're actually going to switch to using a lacrosse ball in this one. So a little bit longer here. If you don't have a lacrosse ball, you can try using a foam roller for it. We find that the lacrosse ball is just a little bit more effective. So 4 more seconds, 3, 2, all right, so grab your lacrosse ball or your foam roller. You can do this on the ground. We're actually gonna take it up to the wall with the lacrosse ball because it can be pretty intense. You can control your weight distribution or how much pressure you're putting onto that lacrosse ball by using the wall. So you're gonna place it right on your chest, inside your shoulder, and you're just gonna rock side to side. You can also move in an up and down or north and south pattern, finding that spot that's really tight, but you really wanna try to work into your chest and out to your shoulder, down towards your armpit a little bit, working all around. When you find somewhere super tight, you can always just stick right in there, hold that pressure on it. Otherwise, you wanna move around lots, try to loosen everything up in that chest before we move into some mobility and some joint mobility exercises and some stretching. So we'll go ahead and switch sides and have Andy move that ball around to the other side. So it's gonna look almost exactly the same. She just has that ball tucked in right under the shoulder. Doesn't matter particularly much which way she decides to hold her head. You might want to look at the ball, make sure it doesn't come out, but otherwise it's just trying to keep your wall from getting a nice facial against, or keep your face away from the wall so it doesn't get a facial. All right, so if you guys need a little bit longer on any of those exercises, go ahead and hit pause, spend a little bit more time here, but we are gonna move on to some joint mobility exercises. All right, guys, we are here now with our step 2 in our little recovery sequence for workplace posture, trying to open up the chest, trying to elongate and sit higher, and we're gonna move on to some joint mobility exercises. And as we covered last week, this is really the best we can do without the help or assistance of a physical therapist. So we're just looking to try to improve the tension in our joint to rebalance the structure, really. Anything more severe or something that we can't take care of with full range of motion through movement is going to require a physical therapist. So we are not physical therapists. We are not treating or curing you. If you have pain that seems to be chronic, you should definitely call a therapist. So we're going to start with a chest opener. So Jane is set up nicely. Her knees are in contact right here. She's going to reach that top arm past her bottom arm, and then she's going to raise it nice and straight and open up all the way, trying to drive this shoulder down. She's going to come right back to start. Big keys here is you're always keeping these knees together. If we allow those knees to part and slide away, you're just naturally allowing more hip rotation, and we're taking that stretch or that focus of range of motion out of our thoracic and out of our chest. So you should feel a really nice stretch through that anterior or the front of your chest, and also maybe through your lat and through your rib cage. We're gonna do one more here, and then we'll have Jane switch sides. Also nice to note is Jane's relaxed head. She's keeping it nice and flat on the ground. So we'll have Jane flip around, and we'll get out of her way too. So again, she's got those knees bent up towards like 90 degrees closer towards her chest, keeping those knees in contact. Notice that she's a little tighter on this side. We're all usually tighter on one side over the other. But if you do this exercise and don't hold yourself accountable at your knees, high five, you are really shortchanging yourself. You're doing yourself a disservice. So yes, it would be great if she could get her hand all the way to the back here, but not if she sacrifices the range of motion and she cheats by compensating to increase range of motion at her shoulders by allowing her hips to change posture. Last one here. Perfect. All right, so carrying on through this chest and thoracic rotation, we're actually gonna come over to a wall of some sort. You're gonna set the leg closest to the wall up, flat against the wall. So that means her hip is contacting the wall, her knee is contacting the wall, and we're keeping her foot pretty much pushed up against the wall. These 3 contact points are essential. If at any point your hips are pulling away from the wall or your knee is, you're cheating your range of motion. We can't do that. So she's gonna put her hands up right by her ears. She is gonna start to rotate, moving one elbow out of the way to go right along the side of the wall, twisting open to face you guys at the camera, and coming back forward, trying to rotate both of those elbows towards the wall. But again, if you guys were on my view, I'm staring at her like a hawk, making sure that her hip and knee are not coming off that wall. If they are, she's cheating. She's getting into a range of motion that's not true to get the maximum amount of benefit for her thoracic mobility. We're gonna do just one more, and then I'm gonna have her flip around and face the other direction. Perfect. So again, that inside leg is up close. We are making sure that she's staying in contact at her knee and hip. And you'll notice that she gets this nice slight tilt, getting a little bit of almost an oblique crunch as she keeps that elbow from having to scrape or get knocked up against the wall. And we'll do one more here. Perfect. All right, so thoracic rotation there. We're gonna do a little foam roller mobility drill. So she's gonna lay with that foam roller parallel to her spine. Focus here in order to even start this exercise is core bracing. So we're gonna keep she's in position, our knees bent so that we can hold ourselves strong here, and we're gonna really brace with our core. She's gonna start arms straight up towards the ceiling with her fingertips together, and we're gonna open up into, I call them TYIs. So first into the T, feeling that pull across, your shoulder blades will naturally pinch onto that foam roller, and then up into more of a Y formation. Again, feeling that stretch, you'll feel a little bit higher up in your chest. And this one's super important that that core is tight as you go into like an I formation, reaching above and coming back. We're gonna start right back over with that T, and just feeling, because of that foam roller's placement, feeling your scapula have to round around it, feeling your chest have to open up, but keeping our core tight. That core is helping us dictate our range of motion. The only way you can put those arms overhead or get your fingertips to the floor is to really allow that back to arch off the foam roller. It's a false range of motion, or it's being compensated for by that extension in your spine, and you're not actually producing all of the movement just from the shoulders. Some people find this very difficult because they feel like they're gonna fall off the foam roller. Probably means your core is not engaged. So keep your core tight. You might want a little tension in your lower body, squeezing your glutes. And we are going to move on to our next exercise. So we'll put the foam roller out of the way, and we're gonna do down dog. So anybody who's familiar with yoga knows what the downward dog is, but we're really using it, and we're really looking at our upper body. A lot of people do this down dog and think about their calves, which is great, but we're thinking about our chest. So as she raises her hips up, she's gonna try to push that chest through. So she's elongating at her lats, pinching a little bit in her shoulder blades, coming back down into that plank position, and then going right back up, trying to really elongate through our lats and coming right back down. So lats and chest, getting that big pull. Perfect. If you guys are having like a limitation at your calves, like you feel like you can't push back, I'm just gonna have you unlock your knees and slightly bend at your knees to help allow the focus to go in the upper body without too severe of an impact on your calves and your lower body. And that's it. Take a break there, Jane. We're gonna go to a wall slide. So Jane's gonna come right here next to me. The objective here is that you don't need to be in a really big wall sit. All you really need to do is focus on, walk your feet out enough so that you can get your low back flat against the wall. As long as her pelvis is tilted and I can't get my hand in here, we're in a good starting position. She's gonna put her arms up at 90 degrees, and I'm gonna look to make sure that when she does that, her back is still flat, and she's got her elbows and her wrists against the wall and her fingertips, and also the back of her head, all right? Now she's gonna slide her arms up, reach, and I'm watching for the same thing. Can she keep everything back against the wall, providing a little bit of pressure against the wall, not a ton, but just enough to make sure that she's holding into that range of motion. As she reaches, is she keeping the back into the wall, right? So huge amount of shoulder stability here, and mobility, I should say, not stability. But if her lats are super tight, she's not gonna be able to reach overhead really well. She's gonna be really limited. Her back's probably gonna arch off the ground also, or off of the wall. And we'll go one more. You can also really increase that range of motion and try to pinch those elbows into your side, keeping your hands back. And that's it, guys. We're gonna be up with stretching next. This is our stretching sequence. So once again, workplace posture, we're just trying to open up the anterior, open up the front of our body. So we have a trusty dusty band here and one also attached up to a higher object. So if you're at home, attaching it to something high might be a little bit harder, but you might be able to hold on to a door jamb, which will give us a similar effect to using the band. So just something alternate for you to think about as we move through these stretches. So 4 stretches, we're focusing on chest and lats here. So our first one, you're gonna put a little bit of tension into that band, and you're gonna pull that band all the way from in front and to behind your head, or as far as your mobility is going to allow you to go. So the big key here is that you cannot force that band behind your head by arching at your back. Keep your core tight so that that motion is actually happening as your shoulders open up versus as your back arches, leaning you back, making you feel like you're getting a bigger range of motion. Core stays engaged. We can put all of that stretch right into the front of the shoulder. We're gonna do 2 more here. Big thing too is keep that tension. Try not to bring your arms forward to relax too much and let your hands pull in. Okay, so we'll put that band down, and either you're going to a door jamb or you have a band that you can attach. So if you need to attach a band somewhere, the one we were just using, pause really quick. Otherwise, we're gonna go right away. So we're using a little bit of traction. So we're pulling on our shoulder joint, pulling on that lat muscle, and we are trying to just relax a little bit into it. Feel that stretch come all the way down. We can increase or change actually that stretch a little bit by rotating and trying to look under our armpit back towards you guys at the front, feeling that stretch come through here. Perhaps coming, for some of us, depending on how tight it is, you might feel that stretch all the way down into your low back. And then we'll come back to a neutral posture here and really focus on leaning into that band, getting that nice strong pull, nice strong stretch through our lats. And we'll stay here, we'll rotate one more time back down, turning our shoulders through, looking at the lovely people watching our video. And we're gonna switch sides here. So switch that hand in, you'll see what I didn't talk about is the grip. Annie's got this band wrapped around her wrist, which is really helpful to make sure that it doesn't come flying off. You don't have to be super crazy about your grip holding on, but she's got the same thing here. So she's starting nice and level here, and then she's gonna look through and turn away from you guys as she tries to increase that stretch down. And we'll do each one twice. We're just staying here in position for somewhere around 10 to 15 seconds before we try to change that angle a little bit as we try to look through. And Annie's 10 to 15 seconds are much faster than mine, so she's gonna do one more. She stays here for 10 to 15 seconds, feeling that nice, good stretch. Again, lats are internal rotators at those shoulders, so they can contribute a lot to that forward hunch or that forward posture we get. Take a break, Andy. So we like to elongate them, open up. Okay, so we are going to go back to a wall. You can also use whatever you had attached your band to. We're going to do a single arm chest stretch. So Annie's hand is placed, as you guys can see, somewhere right around shoulder height. And she is going to rotate away from the wall, feeling that stretch coming through the front of her chest. We'll do both sides and we'll show you on another angle using the post. But this is not about how far can I turn, because the more you turn and turn, you might be extending in your low back. So we need to keep that core tight and really focus on not trying to go further and further and further, but just from putting that stretch through from our chest by keeping our hand anchored to the wall. And we will switch sides. I'm going to have Annie put her hand on the post here as an alternate object to hold on to, so a door jamb again if that was closer to you. But now you can see more that Annie's back is staying nice and neutral. She's not arching or extending into it or pushing her chest forward really far. She's just allowing that stretch to occur at her shoulder. Annie's also very mobile at her shoulders, being a volleyball player, so this looks a little contorted probably to you guys on this angle. She's almost facing entirely away. That is not the objective. She's just very mobile, okay? So that might not be able to be what you're able to do, and don't try to do it if you can't. It's not what we're going for. You have to try to keep your core posture appropriate in order to get the most out of the stretch, okay? So our last stretch, we're gonna go to a lat side stretch. So you could do this seated if you want. We're gonna show you standing and give you a little additional stretch from the lower body. So tension in your hands, or in the band between your hands. You want to keep that nice and constant. And then you're going to see that the elongating, arching motion is happening to stretch our lat. And you saw Annie cross that lower leg. So in this case, she's leaning to her right, and she crossed her left leg over her right to really increase, giving yourself that nice curved posture from basically hand to foot. All right? If you're getting any low back pain out of this, you are probably arching or over stretching out of this. So maybe move the leg back and maybe pick your arms up a little bit and take a lighter stretch to start. So I'm going to have Annie uncross her legs, come back up to tall, and we're going to switch and go in the other direction. So I'm actually going to have Annie twist and face you to the side also. So what you want to be conscious of here is that there's not much rotation right now. We're just not going for that. Not that it would be good or bad, but we're looking for a nice parallel posture so she's not leaned forward and she's not rotated. We're really just isolating that pull down the side for our lats. So we'll just give you guys a couple more seconds here. This is our last stretch of the day. Hopefully, you can stand up, Andy. Hopefully you guys feel nice and opened up in that upper body. And as we mentioned before, if you needed something for your hips, workplace sitting is brutal on our hips too. You should take a look at last week's video. Thanks for watching, guys. Thank you! Thanks for watching, guys. As always, we would love if you could hit that subscribe button and keep us fueled and feeling like you are enjoying our videos. Share with your friends and family, and we hope that you feel amazing after that mobility session, and join us for a workout on YouTube next time. Woohoo! Bye, guys.
Bye.